Hey guys, this is my game so far. This thing where I record and document the progress on the game that I'm making for my senior project and probably beyond. So just to update you guys with what I've got so far, I've made a lot of improvements, a lot of visual improvements, and so let's go ahead and get into that just to show you kind of what I've done and where I'm at right now. So, as you can see right off, there is a huge visual jump. This is because, well, I mean, I found a lot of assets and stuff to work with. And this all looks good, but I will say I didn't make all of this. A lot of this you can find on the Unity Asset Store for free. And there's some really good stuff. This might confuse you a little bit, this tiger here, because he's got like this weird texture to him. But if you look closely, it's actually of like this weird robot guy or whatever. And then I kind of just put that texture onto him to make him look like this. And this isn't what it's going to look like in the final game, obviously. But I do like it. I like it as kind of like a placeholder type of thing, and so that's cool for now. I'm trying to do it so where he's like the base of one of the enemies I'm going to make, which I'll kind of reveal later. But the idea with this game is that you are finding these animals that are more based off of technology, or rather that they're technology that look like animals. Let's put it like that. So yeah, that's neat. Obviously, as you can see, I've got a river and trees. Again, all of this I found in the Asset Store. But the one thing that I have kept, of course, is this guy, my player model. I was trying to adjust the camera there and it didn't work too well. So you can't see it well right now because there's a lot of effects on him. So let's go ahead and just get into the game itself. Just to show you guys what it is, what's up with it right now. So, yeah, as you can see, everything looks cool. You might be able to see that some shadows are moving there, and that is because the sun is actually on a day-night cycle. That was just a little thing that I added near the very end. Very interesting stuff. So you'll also notice that my character here has gotten updated. He looks, he's got colors on him and stuff, just some colors that I picked that looked decent enough. And you'll also notice that he does have the animations from before. Now, it was an interesting story on how the animations worked and whatnot. There was this weird thing that happened where at one point I was working with the animations, and then anytime that I would do this particular animation, I believe to turn left, then all of a sudden he would just like infinitely go right until like into the fractal dimension or something, because he would like glitch out and stuff. And I mean, I can't replicate it here, but he basically went so far one way that the Unity engine couldn't keep up with it, and so it kind of just gave up rendering it and just turned into a bunch of just nondescript shapes. It was very abstract and very weird. But now I've got that fixed, and I've actually got a lot of animations updated. And actually, if you look down here in this area, you'll notice that I do have this animator going. An animator is basically it's kind of the coding language of animations. So like you'll see here, it says entry. This is when the game starts. And then once the game starts, it'll go into its idle animation. And then from there, it can either go into an attack animation, a walking animation, a run animation, or a jumping animation. And that is just done through various coding that I put in through here. And then they can go in between each other based off of different conditions that I have, based off of whether a timer has expired or whether a certain button is pressed, whether you're like, are you pressing the W button to go forwards? Are you pressing the S button to go back? Which animation should play when that happens? One thing that I'll show here is that before you notice that, well, first off, now there is a camera. As I'm moving my mouse around, the camera is moving with it. You'll notice that there's a bit of a delay. That's actually a stylistic choice. Just because if it was like one-to-one, it felt a little rigid. It didn't feel very smooth. And I might change that later on depending on what I have. But before, I had turning animations that he would like keep on walking forwards, but then he would like lean left or like lean right and stuff. But now what I've done is that I've just registered, what buttons are being pressed. And for instance, if I walk forwards, he walks forwards. But then if I walk left, he does this. And that's obviously the walking left animation. Or rather, it's the walking forward animation, but it's rotated. And then the same goes for if he goes right and if he goes back. And it does that kind of thing. And then every time I let go, obviously you'll notice it goes back to the idle animation, as you can see in the animator down here. Walking, 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 oops, up, back to the idle. Really interesting stuff. And then also with that, I have diagonals in place that I can use, which is cool. And then the last thing I've done, last time I did have a run, this is true for this too. So if I just hold down shift, then I start running. And I can also run in any direction once again. Last thing that I have done that I'm really proud of, actually, and this is something that you wouldn't normally think of as like, whoa, that's so cool, but is the jump. Now, obviously, yeah, that looks kind of cool. Like, you're probably thinking like, whoa, where did he get that effect? And that was just something that I found. I think it was just of some standard assets or something. But yeah, every time that I jump, it plays that. But the cool thing about this jump is that it's fluid. And what I mean by that, and I honestly don't know how I did this within the code. It kind of just happened. But basically, I can I can jump just this amount, or if I hold it down, I jump a lot higher and I stay in the air a lot longer. So like short jump, boom, long jump, boom. You'll start to notice the day-night cycle is about to happen. Down goes the sun, and almost night, and it's basically night. Yeah, and it's really interesting because this gives off a very interesting visual effect. Where everything is kind of lit from underneath, as you'll notice from like the trees over here. Everything is like lit underneath. So anyway, with the jump is that it's fluid, and that's the way I did that is basically once I let go of the jump button, then the gravity increases, or rather, and when I push the jump button, it decreases the gravity to like half gravity. And then when I let go of it, it returns it back to full gravity. So what that basically does is that if I let go immediately, it'll be normal. It'll be a jump with normal gravity all the time. But if I hold it down the whole time, it'll be a half jump, which basically lets it do double the height. Very cool stuff. And then obviously you can do anything in between. And he still plays that animation with the effect. And actually, if you're good enough, you can actually get a double jump off, like up and then again. And obviously that didn't actually jump them up again. That's because it only adds a force to it. It doesn't change his velocity, which is an option that I could do, but I like this version better because I don't really want it to be a jump. I do like it as a force. Because the idea is that there's like this electricity inside of the person that allows them to force themselves upwards to be able to jump so high. And then there's kind of like a recharge on that, which is why you see the particles go out and then come back in. Very interesting. A lot of this is kind of coincidental, but they really work together. Last thing I want to show is the attack. I finally actually have an attack. Let me just restart this here. And so I'll go ahead and run up to this enemy, and just to show off the attack animation, I just press the button, and he just kind of does a whamp, whamp. But then if I walk, he attacks while walking, and if I run, he attacks while running, which is very neat. And you'll notice actually in the animator that that is 3 separate animations that have to play. Now, the coolest thing about this is that I can actually attack enemies. Now, I don't have any health bars yet, so when I attack them, they just whoop, they just disappear. So it's kind of funny. And then yeah, I can run up to them and wham, and then I can run up to this one and be like wham. Yeah. Now, one thing I know I need to include, there's actually no hitboxes on these trees, so I can just do this. It's like, oh, I am the tree. Fear me, mortals. You know, that kind of thing. Very, very fun. So yeah, so that's all the stuff right now. Obviously, a lot of visual stuff, but that's kind of all just flowery stuff, all fluff and whatnot. The real stuff is in the code over here, and I know this isn't very fun to look at, but it's something that you can kind of appreciate. So all of my if-then statements are in here, as you can see, and there's a lot. There's a lot. If you remember last time, I really only had ones for like moving and jumping, and now I have stuff for, I mean, just look through this, like moving forwards, backwards, left and right, running forwards, backwards, left and right. I have a thing for tracking the jump. I have a thing for tracking if he's still in the air and he tries to jump, then it won't matter. I have a thing that tracks to see how high he jumps and if he jumps fully, like the gravity adjusting. I have a thing that tracks whether he's on the ground or off the ground, and that was really hard because it's actually a timer that I have to use. I know there's a way to track whether I'm on the ground or not, but this visual scripter doesn't really have something like that, so I have to work with what I got. I have the things that have the animations rotate, both orthogonally and diagonally. I have things for animations for stop walking and stop running, and then the attack and stop attacking. And then I have these general variables down here to help with all of that. And yeah, so that's really all that I have right now to update with. I spent a lot of time doing this, probably upwards of like 10 hours or so, because that was also like learning how all of this stuff worked. So I am very proud of this. The professor I showed it to for my senior project was very impressed by it as well. I hope you guys like how it's going so far. At some point, I will offer versions of this online. I don't know when I'm going to do that yet, but keep look out for that, because that might happen in the near future. And otherwise, yeah, thank you for listening in to me babble on about this thing that I'm making. And if you have any comments, any thoughts, any advice for me, if you want to help me in any way, whether that be financially or just your services or whatever, that probably won't happen, but just in case, hit me up, either comment below or email me at my email. It should be on my YouTube channel. And yeah, otherwise, thank you for watching. Bye!
君じゃなきゃダメみたい